Hey, what's up guys? It's Tips, and I've been making videos on YouTube for a little over a year now, ever since the Classic WoW announcement at BlizzCon 2017. During that time, I've seen a lot of Classic WoW videos pop up on my feed and other feeds claiming that one particular feature that Blizzard could implement in Classic is going to destroy the game. I've heard some people say that Vanilla's imbalance will kill Classic WoW. I've heard some people say that Vanilla's lack of new content will kill Classic WoW. I've even heard people say that smaller features related to the honor system or other systems will kill Classic WoW. And for the most part, I've thought the vast majority of those videos were hyperbolic, a little bit extreme, and didn't always accurately reflect the situation when it comes to Classic, and were usually based on private server data or private server methodology. And that said, here I am today, 1 year later, making a video about how a specific feature could kill Classic WoW. It's a little ironic, in all honesty. I've rolled my eyes time and time again at some of these videos, but I would not be making this video today if I did not wholeheartedly believe with full conviction that the right-click report feature, if implemented in Classic WoW the same way it is in retail today, could kill Classic. So I'm going to go ahead and give you guys the background story on the right-click to report feature. If you guys have no idea what I'm talking about, I'm going to explain why it's a potential threat to Classic, and then I'm going to propose a solution based on what I think would be the best for Classic, and at the same time would not be too costly to implement on Blizzard's side from my perspective. So let's start at the beginning, the right-click to report feature. The right-click to report feature is a feature that allows you to click on a player's nameplate in retail World of Warcraft, right-click that nameplate or right-click that icon, and report that player for language, cheating, and something else I can't really remember. But you're given a couple of options as to how to report somebody. While this feature might seem convenient and innocuous at first, the fact of the matter is it is backed by an automated detection system that implements punishment onto players automatically after a certain amount of reports have been filled against a particular player. So for example, if I came across you in the world and I was in a party of 5 people, and for whatever reason we didn't like you, we could all right-click report you for language or spam or cheating or something along those lines, and you would automatically be disconnected from the game. And when you log back in, you would be squelched or muted, meaning that you could no longer speak in the game's chat channels. Now, in some more extreme cases, such as the case with Savix recently, the streamer Savix, he was banned for 30 days from the game for being reported in an RBG, mass reported by players on the enemy team. Now, that's pretty freaking excessive if you ask me. And while I don't know the full details of that situation, I think that banning somebody automatically because of mass reporting exploits is not good, to say the least. So as you can see, the right-click to report feature can be abused very, very easily. And in this particular Reddit post posted by Deathwang on the WoW Reddit, you can see a series of examples that he's provided that show just how easily the system can be abused and how much it can hurt players who have otherwise done nothing wrong. I'm going to show a couple of these clips real quick, a couple of these examples, and I'm going to talk to you guys right after about how I think this could be abused in Classic WoW.
Get reported for seeing a guild chat now too.
I bet you can.
Anyone
Everybody want to try it? Who here has a good silence?
I'm not trying it because I'm the only one who can recruit now. So
Well, who hasn't been silenced? There, report King Bro.
Yeah,
Try that. Right click on King Bro and go to language. See what happens. Hey, look, King's offline.
Okay.
No!
No!
Good system. Good system.
We can all spam report someone.
No. Don't.
Actually do it to do blue, dude.
We're going right or what?
Oh, sun bloom in the open area. Wipe them.
5 people are targeting blue.
T-Swift, kick
Everyone reported for language.
Kid Eagle for this man. Kick block.
An enemy
Hey,
wants
Bloom
to
DC'd, Bloom DC'd!
What the f?
DC'd, kill him!
Okay, let's go. Kill him.
Holy, that's troll as
Pretty shocking, I know. And as bad as this is a feature in retail World of Warcraft, the reality is the right-click to report feature would be 10 times worse in Classic WoW, and that has to do with the fundamental differences in gameplay between retail and Classic. In retail World of Warcraft, if you get muted, you can still join a dungeon group by queuing up. You can still join LFR by queuing up. You can still go out into the world and kill pretty much every mob because every mob is pretty much easy to kill. Elites aren't challenging at all. And a squelch won't necessarily inhibit your ability to play the game. In classic World of Warcraft, if you are muted based on false reports, you can no longer join a dungeon group because you can't communicate to anybody to ask to join. You won't be able to join any pug raids. You won't be able to group up with anybody in the world for a quest. You won't be able to do anything that requires interaction with other players. And as we know, a lot of the content in Classic WoW requires interaction with other players. It's insane. If you are squelched in Classic World of Warcraft, you literally cannot play the game. Period. And that is a huge, huge problem. On top of that, the incentive to abuse the right-click report feature in Classic is a lot higher than the incentives in retail. In retail, there are only a few ways you can abuse this system to your advantage. One of those ways was in the clip that you just saw during the RBG. You can have somebody disconnect in an RBG, and obviously that gives you a huge advantage over the other team. But in Classic WoW, it's not just Battlegrounds where you can abuse this thing. Can you imagine, just imagine for a second, you are out in the world, and somebody comes in and they see that you're tagging their Devilsaur spawns in Ungoro. And all of a sudden, the Devilsaur Mafia, instead of killing you, just right-click, report you, and you get disconnected from the server or possibly even banned. Imagine if you're farming Frostmaw Echoes in Winterspring and somebody does that to you. Imagine if you're going after a world boss and somebody does that to you. Imagine if you're on your way to Blackrock Mountain and the opposing faction right-click reports your guild leader, and all of a sudden, you no longer have a raid lead for your raid. Imagine if somebody did that to you on your grind to rank 14 and prevented you from reaching rank 14 because every time you connected in your pre-made, you would get mass reported and eventually banned. And finally, imagine if you are doing the Scarab Lord quest line, the most prestigious, iconic, broad-scoped quest in World of Warcraft history, and you're about to ring that Scarab Gong, and you are about to get that Black Karaji battle tank and the Scarab Lord title. Imagine if a competing guild or a competing set of players didn't want you to get that tank, didn't want you to get that honor, and right-clicked, reported you, mass reported you, and got you disconnected or possibly banned. The fact of the matter is, Retail WoW and Classic WoW are two different games. And as it stands right now, the right-click to report feature in Classic WoW has a lot more consequences than it does in Retail, and the incentive to abuse the system is a lot higher in Classic because the very nature of Classic is a lot more competitive. There are so many more resources in Classic that are competed over than there are resources in Retail. In Retail, the vast majority of nodes are phased. In Retail, the world bosses are phased. Anybody can access any of the content in Retail, whereas in Classic, everything is static, everything's kept to one phase, one server, and as a result, it is far more competitive and far more reason for people to abuse the system. Now, that being said, what is the solution to the right-click to report feature? Well, I've heard people argue that this feature should be removed from the game entirely. And while that might seem like the go-to solution for no changes advocates, I personally don't think that's reasonable. The right-click to report feature isn't just an independent feature on its own. In all probability, this is linked to core Battle.net functionality. It probably is linked to how Blizzard does their entire customer service reports, and to ask Blizzard to remove it would be asking Blizzard to change their entire customer support operation, which I think is very, very unreasonable, and it's just a battle that we cannot win, period. Now, an alternative to this, and something I've heard a lot of other people suggest, and an opinion that I personally agree with, is that instead of removing right-click to report, simply change it so that it's no longer processing reports automatically, and instead, whenever a ban or a disconnect is to be issued, it is first reviewed by a personnel at Blizzard, a customer service personnel, and hopefully that will prevent a lot of these fake and false reports from going through the system and ruining people's playtime. Now, I think according to Blizzard, this is already the case. All of Blizzard's reports do eventually get reviewed by a person. I think that's what Blizzard has claimed in the past. but based on some of the examples we've been given in the Reddit post today, as well as some other live action examples that I've seen Asmongold do on stream, I've seen Stay Safe do on stream, it's pretty obvious that if that's the case, it doesn't seem to be happening all the time, and that is a huge problem. In Classic WoW, it just takes one time to get somebody banned unlawfully to ruin an entire guild's experience or an entire server's experience. It's not fun to have your raid leader disconnect because of an issue like this. It's not fun to get ganged up on because you're stealing somebody's Devilsaur mob, or not even stealing, you simply tagged a Devilsaur mob that some mafia didn't want you to tag. It's not fun to be silenced because a couple of jerks wanted to screw around with you, and all of a sudden you can't find a single group to group up with and play the game and have to log off. The bottom line is the right click to report feature is a huge weapon at the arsenal of malicious players as it stands, and unless that weapon is marginalized, it is going to wreak havoc on the Classic WoW community. And guys, I urge you to post about this on the official Blizzard forums. Be constructive, be logical, but this is a hill you should be willing to die on, figuratively speaking, because this is one of the big deal breakers in Classic WoW. This is going to be abused big time unless it's changed, and I hope Blizzard makes changes to the system and lets us know about it, because again, I believe that if this feature is implemented full stop into Classic, it could destroy the game. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did, sub it up and stick around because we got more coming. For more Classic WoW content, news, and updates, you guys can follow me on Twitter, you guys can join me on Discord, all that good stuff. And yeah, if you guys want to catch my reactions to stuff like this live, you can check me out on twitch.tv/tipsoutbaby. I just got off stream right now to make this video. But aside from that, have a wonderful day, fellas. I'll see you guys on Twitch tomorrow. And as always, tips out, baby.